What's going on, everybody? This is dkdynamite, and today we're going to be talking about the breaking news in regards to the acquisition of Activision Blizzard. Yes, Xbox now owns Call of Duty. Definitely stay tuned. But before we jump into that, be sure to hit that subscribe button down below, drop a like, and also as a reminder, from now until July 14th, Code Dynamite could be used to save you 15% off any Apex gaming PC order, which is linked down below in this video's description. You could save hundreds of dollars off of your very first custom build, or you can even choose from some of the pre-builds that we put together for you guys, the nuclear, bombshell, and detonated builds, all of which are fully capable of running COD 2.0 or any of your content creation needs. You can even finance your PC for as little as $67 a month and have it built and shipped in under 48 hours. The link to Apex is, of course, down below in this video's description. Code Dynamite could also be used to save you additional discounts even after this deal does end. But we also got plenty of tweets going up over on Detonated's Twitter. Feel free to drop a follow if you want to show any support, or even check out some of the articles we have going up over on detonated.com. Detonated is, of course, an expansion to all the coverage you're seeing here on the channel for everything to do with Call of Duty. Now, it was a good 18 months ago, I think it was during Cold War Season 4 or Season 5, when we first heard about the impending acquisition of Activision Blizzard. Microsoft shocked everybody with what is arguably the largest acquisition, I think, in entertainment history. And I would say at the time, when I first started talking about this, I was kind of on the fence about whether or not this would be a good thing for Activision or Call of Duty specifically. Could this have been a situation where, hey, Activision wasn't in the best place, they needed to really improve their work environment, how higher upstream their employees, maybe this acquisition could fix that? Or could it be a situation like we've seen before with other acquisitions, even some that Microsoft have been a part of, where they buy out a publisher and don't really do much with the IP and kind of let the publishers continue doing what they were doing, so if anything, the deal wouldn't change much anyway? I mean, we've even seen IPs that Microsoft have bought or other companies out there, and sometimes it does more damage than good. So I was always on the fence as to whether or not this would have been a good deal for the industry or not, but I think the number one thing that I care about is improving that work environment, making sure that everybody is treated equally, and making sure that game development becomes a much better and smoother process so that more people out there are encouraged to get into the industry, right? Not the other way around. So I've always been kind of skeptical on whether or not this would be the best decision, but I think as of a couple of weeks ago with the other hearings with Bobby Kotick and other hearings in court about this acquisition, it seemed like everything was pointing more towards the FTC and other regulators winning this case and the deal actually falling through. It didn't seem like the judge at all was in favor of Microsoft, Activision at all. It seemed like they were leaning more towards not allowing this deal to go through because of X, Y, and Z. I talked about that before on a previous podcast, other tweets out there, but as of today, the breaking news is that Microsoft, at least right now, has won. A federal judge has denied the FTC's preliminary injunction allowing Microsoft to acquire Activision Blizzard in the United States. This still leaves, however, the UK CMA block to get through to close the deal worldwide. So it's not completely closed just yet. It's not completely finished or ready to go, but a huge step has been made to at least have it pass in the US, and now to make sure it goes through worldwide, they have to go through a couple more obstacles, but it's very likely that those obstacles will be beaten. Now, the judges also claimed that Call of Duty will remain on PlayStation and expand to more players thanks to the Xbox deal. Activision stock is also now sitting at about $92, despite the purchase price being about $95, so it's still pretty close to what it was all those months ago. But Bobby Kotick, however, will end up making $400 million once the deal ends up closing, so you could probably see why he also wanted the deal to go through, because he benefits quite a bit from all that happening. But if you guys are like, wait, what is changing with Call of Duty specifically if this deal does fully close, which now it looks like it really is going to, and the honest answer is likely nothing, at least for some time. Microsoft already committed to bringing Call of Duty to Nintendo Switch, to other cloud gaming devices, and they made it clear that they don't want to remove COD from PlayStation at all. So if anything, for the first couple of years, not much is really going to change unless development does begin on porting over Call of Duty entries, whether old or new, to other platforms. That could be the biggest change we see, but don't forget the Sony deal the PlayStation currently has with Call of Duty still exists for at least Call of Duty 2023. That's the upcoming Modern Warfare sequel, apparently being led by Sledgehammer, so that game may still have PS Plus combat packs or exclusive XP weekends. Hopefully no game modes locked behind PS4 or PS5 ownership. I highly doubt they're going to do that again, but the next Black Ops game in 2024, that's if another deal doesn't get signed between PlayStation and Call of Duty, that next Black Ops game will be the first Call of Duty in many years, well over a decade, that doesn't have any type of console exclusive deal whatsoever. And I also think with that, Call of Duty isn't going to be on Game Pass anytime soon either. I'd say at least until the next Black Ops game rolls around, you're probably not going to even see older Call of Duty entries pop up on Game Pass. But again, I could be wrong about that. I'm not an expert whatsoever, but I think based on how slow some of these things do work likes, the way that some of these processes work. I don't see much change happening for quite some time, but close to the launch of the next Black Ops game, I think we'll start seeing some things be trickled into the COD series, whether it means older COD titles on Game Pass, whether it means no exclusivity whatsoever, Microsoft not wanting to sign any additional deals with Sony for any type of PlayStation offers, dealing with Call of Duty, whether it's a game mode, a combat pack, an XP weekend. I see all of that kind of coming to an end right after the end of the cycle for MW3. But if you guys are thinking, well, DK, doesn't this mean Microsoft can just end up coming out with exclusive offers for Call of Duty, whether that means a game mode gets locked behind ownership of an Xbox or PC, or some other versions of these cosmetic packs that just aren't for PS Plus, but for those that, let's say, own Game Pass, you might not be able to download Call of Duty on Game Pass. Maybe if you have a Game Pass subscription, though, you get access to an exclusive bundle that is similar to a PS Plus combat pack. So if anything, it's like just more of the same of what we've been seeing the past couple of years, just for a different platform. Again, that's all possible, but is it likely right away? I just doubt that. I think especially considering their commitment to keeping COD on PlayStation for the next 10 years at least, probably even longer, I think they'll want to wait at least a couple of years before trying some things where they're like, hey, it's better to play Call of Duty on an Xbox or a PC through either a Game Pass subscription or just by having a Microsoft account. We'll still allow COD to be on PlayStation, but it's better if you play on our platforms. I think we'll probably see something like that eventually, but just not anytime soon. Now, if you're wondering if this means that we could start seeing some potential crossover packs like we just got with Crash Bandicoot inside of Call of Duty, but for IPs like Gears of War or Halo, the answer is yes, bundles like that could exist in the future, but I just don't see those happening anytime soon, at least not during Modern Warfare 3's life cycle. Maybe at some point in the Black Ops 2024 life cycle, things like that could be possible, but I'd say in terms of legality, things like that could actually happen, right? Imagine seeing a Minecraft type of pack, but inside of the Call of Duty item shop. But that'd be cool to see some in-game free unlockables at some point that are tied to Microsoft properties that we would have never thought could have ever been crossed over or connected with Call of Duty whatsoever, right? Games that were considered Call of Duty's competition could be directly crossed over with a big game like COD through cosmetics or other type of bonuses that we just never could have imagined a couple of years ago. Now, I also want to remind you guys before I forget, and nobody out there's really talked about this in a while, but it was Microsoft that went ahead and said back in March during some of their court hearings that once Warzone Mobile does release, it would begin to phase out COD Mobile. That was at least their interpretation, which they may have gotten wrong. They might have misinterpreted the whole point of Warzone Mobile, and maybe that statement just wasn't correct. I know COD Mobile put out their own statement a while back saying that they're committed to keeping the game alive, but maybe, and just maybe, they're able to keep the game alive so long as Microsoft doesn't take over. But once they do take over, Microsoft has full reign to be like, you know what, let's keep dominating the mobile market for Call of Duty, but let's keep that in-house. Let's not keep outsourcing Call of Duty projects or anything to do with Call of Duty to Tencent so that they could go ahead and appeal to the Chinese market. Maybe they're like, hey, we're okay with shutting down COD Mobile, bringing everything home, and keeping Warzone Mobile the dominant Call of Duty mobile experience. Maybe that's what's going to happen once this deal does officially close. I just want to remind you guys about that for those out there that are still curious as to whether or not Warzone Mobile is going to directly compete with COD Mobile. Will both coexist? I think right now it's very likely that COD Mobile does indeed get phased out in the next couple of years. But one thing I wrote down here is that I really do hope no one switches up saying the original Activision leadership was better if, let's say, in a couple of years, some changes do happen to Call of Duty and we get to the point where we're like, wow, this is actually worse than where we started at. If work environments don't get better, if exclusivity deals get more and more cringe to where they get forced on everybody's throats, or if something else happens with Game Pass to where it's like, there's no point in buying a game on a PlayStation anymore, might as well have Game Pass. If we get to that point at any moment of time in the next couple of years, people out there aren't going to be happy, and I could already foresee the tweets, the Reddit comments, the YouTube comments saying that this deal shouldn't have gone through to begin with. But hopefully we don't ever get to that point. An official statement from Activision is as follows: the legal system worked. A fair and neutral court has reached the correct conclusion about Activision Blizzard's merger with Microsoft based on facts and the law. The judge's ruling rejects the FTC's ideology-driven attempt to prevent a deal that benefits gamers and allows more competition instead of protecting the market leader. Bobby Kotick put out this statement: today, a U.S. federal judge ruled in our favor, denying the FTC's attempt to block our merger with Microsoft. We're grateful to the court for the way this process was handled and the thoughtfulness of the decision. The U.S. joins the 38 countries where our deal can proceed. These decisions are based on facts and data that show our merger is good for players and the competition in the industry. We're optimistic that today's ruling signals a path to full regulatory approval elsewhere around the globe, and we stand ready to work with the UK regulators to address any remaining concerns so our merger can quickly close. And lastly, a statement from Microsoft themselves: we're grateful to the court in San Francisco for this quick and thorough decision and hope other jurisdictions will continue working towards a timely resolution. As we've demonstrated consistently throughout the process, we're committed to working creatively and collaboratively to address regulatory concerns. So hopefully any faults or mistakes Microsoft has made with, let's say, the deal of Bethesda or other acquisitions out there, hopefully those don't also happen with this merger. This is a much bigger merger than anything we've seen before, and a lot of pressures on Microsoft to make the right moves here. So whether that means improving work environments or improving exclusivity deals or making sure that the Activision umbrella gets expanded upon to where other IPs like Crash Bandicoot and others can thrive alongside Call of Duty, and also to hire more people to go ahead and eliminate the need for so much crunch. Let's have smoother and more successful game dev cycles for a game as big as COD, right? Where it's not a case where it's like, oh, you know, this game needs 3 years development, but we're only giving them like 1.5. Let's stop doing that. Let's really go ahead and ensure that we have the brightest future possible for all great games under the Activision umbrella, which can also then inspire other publishers and companies out there to do the same thing, to realize, hey, look at the biggest deal ever in gaming history. Let's try to be more like that. Let's make decisions and changes like they did, because look how much better it benefited some of the biggest games ever created. But that is about it. This has been DK Dynamite. Leave our thoughts down below in the comment section. What are your thoughts on what apparently looks like the Microsoft deal going through so they can merge with Activision Blizzard? How do you feel like the UK will respond to this? Will they come to a timely resolution, or will this get delayed even a couple more months to where the deal doesn't officially close? But also, in all, how do you feel like this is going to change Call of Duty, either for better or for worse, in the next couple of years? Really hope you've enjoyed, and peace out, everybody.